Welcome back. Chris Waters here on the GameSpot stage for a demo of Freedom Wars. Now, I was checking out the trailer for this game, and it really paints a terrible dystopian picture of the future. Nick from Sony is here to tell us about it. Nick, it looks horrifying.
Well, horrifying but awesome at the same time.
That is the best kind of horrifying.
That's what I think, too.
All right, so Freedom Wars. The title doesn't tell us a whole lot about the game, but
Yes.
this is like a very specific setting, very evocative, but also still connected to the modern day world despite being like 100,000 years in the future.
Yes, that's right. So imagine kind of like a post-apocalyptic society where the remains of humanity all live in these giant city-states called panopticons.
Okay.
Right? So the game's actual code name was Panopticon, so that's where that comes from. Everything that you do in these city-states is is under surveillance.
All of the things that I do.
All the things you do.
I do a lot of things I don't.
And you have no rights. So you have no rights to do anything.
But I like rights.
And that's tough.
All right.
However,
fair enough. I'll go with it.
Yeah, this city-state's going to give you the opportunity to earn those rights and earn your freedoms back, and that's what Freedom Wars is. So it's you actually fighting to earn your freedom back, thus the title Freedom Wars.
All right, so this guy, he at least has the freedom to wear earphones.
Yeah.
But how can freedom even exist in a society where you're just observed all the time and you're on lockdown?
Everything is earned. Everything is earned. So actually right now we're about to see 4 players going in to take on a mission given to us by this central authority to rescue some civilians. That's us paying our debt to society. And one thing I should mention is that all of these people are actually prisoners. They have a 1,000,000-year sentence of penal servitude that they have to get past in order to actually earn their freedom. But typical games like this, 4-player kind of hunting games that you've seen before, aren't really heavy on story. Complete opposite here. Story is robust. It's super interesting. You're going to find out all about the world, what happened, and why you have to fight for your freedom when you play through Freedom Wars.
All right, so we got 4 players here. One of them is the the player who's running the demo. Are the others actual players joining?
Yes, this is actual players joining. This is actually a 4-player co-op mission that you'll see.
And what system are we playing it on?
PS Vita.
On the Vita, of course. We're in the middle of our Vita Super Block.
Yep,
yeah.
And the game will be fully compatible with the PlayStation TV as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But the game has 4-player ad hoc and online co-op modes, and an 8-player online competitive mode as well. So you talk about AAA, we're talking about like big Vita games. They don't get much bigger than this.
All right, so you're heading out. You're trying to recapture 3 civilians.
Yep.
Is this? I mean, I guess we're going to get a look at combat pretty soon. But who are you arrayed against? Is it certainly if you're trying to earn your freedom from the governing force, you're not fighting authority figures?
So actually, the Panopticons are kind of at war with each other. So resources are scarce. One of the biggest resources we have are actually people. So one of the other city-states is actually abducting people and taking them away. So these big enemies that you see on the screen in front of you, these are abductors, and they actually have civilians inside their chest cavities. So the goal here is not going to be only to defeat the enemies, but to actually get those civilians out and transport them out to extract them. So
that is, I mean, being observed in your every movement and motion does not sound like a great fate, but at least you're not inside the belly of some sort of horrible beast.
Well, yes, true. So actually what you see right now is one of our characters using the Thorn. It's actually a really cool item that's going to let us do pretty much every great thing in battle. It's going to let us not only have more mobility and able to whip ourselves to and fro, but it's going to let us actually constrict the big enemies, pull them down, or also let us get on top of the enemies and hack at them to try and get those civilians free. So, you might be familiar with other games and everything's just kind of on foot. This is definitely a game where you're going to be jumping around, moving back and forth. It kind of reminds me in a lot of ways of Attack on Titan, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're really, honestly, all the different weapon types we have, it's supposed to cater to a very international community so that everybody can get in this and have a good time.
So you've got some verticality in these levels with that Thorn, was it?
This is 4 players, and each player actually has an accessory, an AI companion, that's there to help you as well as keep an eye on you. So if you actually break a rule or break a law, they're going to be the ones that actually add more time onto your 1,000,000-year sentence. So
wait, all right. So I guess that's sort of in fitting with the you're observed all the time thing.
Yep.
This AI accessory is along not to help you guys battle, but to keep you in line?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
What would breaking a law look like? Is it,
well,
that's on the circle button and it's a powerful attack, but you don't want to do it?
For example, when you start out the game, you're in a very small area, and one of the rules you have is that you can't take more than 5 steps without contacting someone. So when you do that, a big red mark will come on the screen and say, law broken, 10 years added to your sentence, and she'll tell you what you did wrong. So every right that you want, every freedom you will gain, you will earn as you play through here.
So the way is a right or a freedom is that sort of like an ability? Is it roughly comparable to a skill or an ability in a similar game?
I would say it's more like getting a more expanded map to go around in like the hub area or what you can do. Your basic battle abilities will be there from the start of the game, so it's not going to be like you can only attack one way or do something. But you will gain, I guess the ability to craft weapons and do all sorts of different things as well. So. Honestly, everything in the game you're going to earn. You're going to earn the right to save the game as well. So, luckily,
the right to save your game.
Luckily that comes pretty early. So,
hopefully. So
right now
here you are and this now I see sort of your reference to Attack on Titan.
Yeah, we're actually on top fusing, which means like cutting off the enemy's arm and picking it up to basically gain an item that we can use for crafting weapons afterward.
So you. No part of the beast must be wasted, this kind of mentality?
Exactly. And you'll see here in a few moments, they're actually going to start attacking that yellow section in the middle of his chest to try and get the civilian out.
The one where the civilian is.
Yep.
Can you shed a little more light on the origin of this weird bone and sinew beast?
Well, he is, I can't say too much about it because that would go into story things I can't talk about, but he has been sent by another city-state to basically abduct people and bring them back.
All right, so you've got warring panopticons.
Yes, exactly.
That's
exactly
factions.
Right. So right now we're actually, looks like it's hacking off the top part of this abductor, and then we're going to go around here and try and get this civilian free that you see right here. So again, it's not only that we're defeating this enemy, but we're trying to get the civilian out. And actually you'll notice, as soon as we get the civilian out, this abductor is going to start to rage at us, and he's going to come at us like a very angry monster. So it's going to be the goal of the player to try to get them to the extraction point, and the teammates are going to be instrumental in helping him do that. So
one person's on extract, and then the others are trying
keeping
to slow
him busy.
It down.
Exactly. And it's a very heavy football, I should say. So, like when you're running with them, you actually have to be careful you don't drop them.
That's probably not going to work out for the civilian there.
No, and anything you kind of run into will make you drop them. So mobility is very hampered. You have to be very careful, and you have to really rely on your teammates to help you accomplish your goals.
Well, so speaking of the teammate, over Twitter, Alistair Sunfire is curious about, is there sort of classes or abilities that differ between the different characters?
So no, you're going to be able to customize your character from the second you start the game. But those customizable things you can do to your character is all kind of aesthetic. You'll be able to craft whatever weapons you want, and despite what your character looks like, you'll be able to use them effectively in battle. You can carry 2 weapons into battle at a time. It can be 2 swords, it can be a gun and a sword, it can be whatever you want it to be. And we have a nice variety of bazookas, sniper rifles, machine guns, knives, all sorts of things to get the job done. So.
Are there other mobility tools in addition to that sort of thorn that locks on and sort of?
Well, the thorn's
grapples?
very central to it, but you are going to be able to upgrade your thorn as you play the game to do different things. You'll be able to charge it up to do some different things. But honestly, the very basic mobility that you see on display here is kind of representative of, I would say, normal mobility that you'll have in the game. So.
All right. So now we're making our way towards the extraction point here on this mission, and this is just one of 3 civilians.
That's right.
That you have to rescue.
It's a 15-minute mission. You can see these guys. There's actually 2 abductors there right now.
So that's the other civilian that you're going to want to get. But
yes,
once you sort of transport this one away, which you managed to do.
Yep.
This sort of ties into a question from Amano Henry on Twitter, wondering how long is this sort of story mode going to take you to play through?
So
that's something ballpark it, I guess.
I can't really talk. If you're familiar with how long some more recent RPGs are, I'd say it's quite substantial.
All right, sort of in that ballpark. So 20, 30, 40, maybe.
Maybe somewhere around there. I can't officially say.
All right, fair enough.
But what I think about some of these games is that a lot of times the single player content is a little bit lacking. It gets a little bit of a slog to do by yourself, but that's completely not the case here. There's a very robust and interesting story. You're going to figure out everything that's going on in the world just by playing through it and reducing that sentence you have.
And that ties into a question from Eric Song, wondering about, I need to be online to play Freedom Wars? Do I have to be playing multiplayer here?
No, you don't. When you're playing in the single player mode, you're actually going to have some awesome characters that are part of your party that you're going to be able to assign tasks to and take on these bosses. These big enemies, like multiple at a time. So.
Is it the same, whether you're playing single or multiplayer, is it the same campaign, or are there differing sort of paths or
So I would
tasks?
kind of liken it to the way a lot of these kind of games work, where to complete the story you'll have to do certain missions, and then you can always replay those missions with multiple people involved if you want. But the single player mode is a single player mode. It is there for you to take on with the AI. But a million-year sentence, you're going to want to get some friends to help you take that down, because it might take a while.
All right, and down goes another one, and wow, that thing on your back even kind of looks like the Attack on Titan omnidirectional movement thing.
Yeah, a little bit. It has your barcode on it, which is your identifier and stuff.
Whoa! This giant horrible bone demon, which I'm sure is the technical term, has like these rocket launcher pods.
Yes.
So there's a lot. So I guess talk a little bit about enemy variety. Are you always taking on foes this large, or larger or smaller?
Lots of very large enemies. These guys are pretty big, but in particular, you see this guy with these turrets on his shoulders. Right now, he's actually sawing off that turret so that this guy can't use it against him. And then after he picks it up, he'll be able to use it. You see it right over there in front of you? He'll be able to use it to craft new weapons afterward. So you're going to get a huge variety. If you check out our story trailer, which will be out soon if it's not already released, you're going to see a very neat variety of enemies that you're fighting. Kind of reminds me of Angels from Evangelion a little bit. Something I haven't seen in a long time, and it's just endlessly creative.
Very cool. You just obtained some artificial muscle there, and you've been referencing the sort of, we talked about this, like grabbing stuff off of the enemies, sawing off their arm, and then carrying it back to your base.
That's right.
The crafting, is that weapon crafting primarily, or are there other abilities or sort of kit that you're going to be able to craft?
Well, there's going to be lots of things you can craft. I'd say mainly weaponry is going to be a really big part. You're going to want better and better weapons. You're going to want to upgrade your Thorn. You're going to want to upgrade your, things for your accessory as well, your AI companion. So there's a lot of different things you can craft. There's a pretty endless variety of weapons. It's one of those games that you could play for hundreds and hundreds of hours if you really wanted to sink your time into it. So.
Now, is that going to be necessary to get your sentence reduced all the way?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But if you want to grind for some like rare loot, that is there too.
Yeah, of course. I should mention really quickly, this game is a collaboration between not only our Japan studio, but a studio called Dimps and Shift. So just for some context, the director of the game is the director of Street Fighter 4, Mr. Tsukamoto-san, and the
parallels are obvious, Nick.
What's that?
The parallels are obvious.
Yeah, and the designer of the game designed a game called God Eater. Which was free on PSP on PS Plus pretty recently. Sequel is in Japan. And then our producer from Japan Studio produced Patapon. So we have a really awesome, diverse team working on this game. Japan is salivating over it. They love it. They can't wait to see it. And we're so excited to bring it to you guys.
Yeah, we've got people in the GameSpot chat really intrigued by it.
Awesome.
And Rusher25 has a minor question regarding, sort of the Japanese versus Western releases. You guys eyeing any having audio available in Japanese for American release?
Yeah, that's actually a big component of this. We wanted to keep its original Japanese flavor, so it will have Japanese audio. It will be completely subtitled in some multiple languages. We're doing our best right now to localize it as best and as fast as we can for you guys. It launches in Japan this month. We'll have it out by the end of the year.
Very cool. Zod on Twitter curious about a competitive mode.
Yes. So, like I said, these panopticons are kind of, battling each other. So sometimes you're going to be rescuing people from other people. So 4v4, panopticon versus panopticon online battles just kind of makes sense. So you'll be playing kind of games of capture the flag with civilians. Sometimes you'll just be playing death matches,
Okay.
whatever you kind of want, flying around, using the thorn.
And is there a greater kind of clan or
Metagame?
Panopticon metagame
Yeah,
attached to
so
that?
when you start the game, you're going to be able to select from one of 50 cities to actually represent from around the world. And we'll have very regular updates about which panopticon is currently the best. So
Very cool, Nick.
Yep.
Freedom Wars, a game that instantly lit up on Twitter. A lot of people very excited about
Awesome.
it. Thank you so much for coming and showing it off here.
My pleasure.
You guys are aiming for a release
This year.
this year.
Absolutely.
It's coming out in Japan shortly, but the American release for
That's right.
PlayStation Vita.
Yep.
All
Exclusive
right.
for Vita, completely compatible with PlayStation TV. So excited to bring it to you guys. So
Excellent.
thanks
Nick,
for
thank
having
you
it.
so much.
My pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you.